Hi-yo. Today we're gonna be learning about. We're going back with the books there. We're gonna learn about the Northwest Passage. It's a little area up. They're trying to find a route. Across over the American continent. So they're looking up north now, and we're gonna learn about what they're gonna find there. We're gonna try to find. We're gonna have a good time too. We're gonna have a good time. Try to find that for ourselves there. The early explorers. Yeah. The reign of Queen Elizabeth I was the great age of the English exploration. Yeah. She's sending everybody which way out there, trying to find all the new lands, trying to conquer places. Not so good for the people living there, but pretty good for England. Not anymore though. They're not very good explorers anymore. No, yeah, they don't want to do any like space exploration or nothing. It's no fun. It was the days of Queen Elizabeth that Drake sailed around the world. Yeah, Drake. We know Drake was the privateer. He was like destroying the Spanish settlements, like and stealing all their gold and stuff. Yeah, and sailed around the world. And there were other English sailors who were famous as he. Some of these made voyages of discovery into the Arctic Ocean. They believed that to the north of North America, they had passage to the Pacific Ocean, similar to the strait found by Magellan, to the south of South America. If this Northwest Passage could be discovered, it would give the English a new route to rich lands of the East. The search for the Northwest Passage was to continue for more than 300 years. In the course of the search, many heroic deeds were performed. I don't know how heroic they were, but let's find out. And much suffering was endured. Yeah, there was lots of suffering. Way more suffering than heroic deeds. English seamen knew the voyage across the top of America would take their ships into cold seas where few vessels had traveled. On your globe, you will see that almost all of this part of the world lies north of the Arctic. I might think of a map. Let me see if I have a map. Ooh, yeah. Is that... Yeah, so this is like the north of... This around that was very dark. Oh no, so my mouse is on it. You can see it's very this is all like near the Arctic, very cold area. It's not very hospitable to life or human life. No, there's lots of life in the Arctic, or there used to be. What was it? English seamen knew that voyage across the top of America would take their ships into cold seas where few vessels had traveled. On your globe, you will see that almost all of the part of the world lies north of the Arctic Circle. This was a region where there were fields of ice. Yeah, fields of ice. Where there were long months of darkness and where food was scarce. Yeah, now there's like nothing grows. I think back to the Arctic Circle, there's like no trees. It's like just desert, Arctic desert. It's very brutal to live there. Some people still live there though, but it's a hard life. Even today, ships voyage into these waters only at certain times of year. Moreover, only specially constructed ships, such as the Canadian government's C.D. Howe. Ooh, I don't know we had a good icebreaking ship. Ever attempt to sail through the ice fields of the north. Let's go back to the pictures here. I want to see these pictures. So yeah, here's the natives of the Arctic. The Eskimo is among the oldest Canadians. They're actually called the Innu. They're Inuit. Eskimo is kind of a derogatory term, so we call them Inuit. In the Arctic many years before the white man came to Canada, and he has discovered the best ways of living in the region. On land, he traveled by sleigh and husky team. You'll see the other pictures of his way of life on page 250 and 254. Yeah, we'll see the other ones as we go along. They used a specific type of dog called they're a breed called like the Inuit dog. They're also like closely related to Greenland dogs too. So they look very husky-like or like a Malamute, but they're distinct in that they're kind of like naturally kind of natural selection going on there. They didn't hand pick and breed them. They just let them do their own thing. So they're very independent dogs, and they play very rough. My dog is half Inuit dog, and he's very chill. He's a very nice guy, but he's kind of does what he wants to do. Even if it takes you have to be like on top of him if you want him to perform properly. But he's a good guy. They're good dogs. The routes which explorers took led them to the northern shores of America. Along this coast, they found hundreds of islands of every imaginable shape and size. Some were mountainous, covered with snow all year round. Others were flat, and on these in sheltered places, grass and flowers grew in the short summer months. On some of these islands, there was no people at all. On others, there were small settlements of Eskimos. The Eskimos, who wandered about from place to place, built many homes. In summer, they lived in tents of caribou or sealskin. In winter, their homes were snow houses known as igloos. I think there's a picture of the igloos here. I think we got that. Yeah, here's them. Here's there's a sketch of inside the igloo. You could construct different kinds of igloos. Lots of people like to do like dugout igloos, where like you kind of like dig out like a little cave, and then you kind of like do the entrance with a little hole. And you always have to make a smoke hole for your fire, or you're gonna suffocate yourself. But they're very warm. They're extremely warm. If you're ever in a cold area, and it's hard, they're actually really hard to make. So it's a skill. If you can't just like, oh, I'm in the Arctic, I'll build an igloo. No, it's really hard. But yeah, if you're ever in the Arctic, dig a hole and make and live in the snow. It's well, if you're starving and dying in the Arctic, that's what you gotta do. You gotta dig a good hole, and then you'll be safe and fine. Don't worry about the cold. Cold's good. Cold's good. We like the cold. Yeah. Where was I? They found hundreds of islands of every magical shape and size. Some were mountainous and covered with snow all year round. Others were flat. And on these in sheltered places, grass and flowers grew in the short summer months. On some of these islands, there was no people at all. On others, there were small settlements of Inuit. I'm gonna switch Eskimos to Inuit because because this is an old book, so I'm gonna switch back to the right terms. The Inuits who wandered about from place to place, built many homes. In summer, they lived in tents of caribou or sealskin. In winter, their homes were snow houses known as igloos. To make an igloo, the Inuit cut large blocks of snow and ice with a long snow knife, with a long snow knife made of horn. They arranged the blocks in a circle and placed on top of another. At one side, he left an opening through which he could crawl. Often, he built a tunnel leading to this entrance, where he allowed his dogs to stay on cold nights. The Inuit was able to build an igloo in less than an hour. Yeah, they're really hard to build. Like I remember one time when I was a kid, we were camping in the snow, and so we're like, hey, let's build an igloo, and it took us like 5 hours to like put together a simple igloo. It was pretty nuts. And also like you need to make the entrance like really small, because you want to get like this you want to get like a draft going. So it's if you're ever like really cold, like you want to like have like as little openings as possible, because you don't want the snow to blow into you and like freeze you to death. Winter can be pretty brutal, you know. But we still like the winter. Winter's good. Inside the igloo, the Eskimo built a shelf of snow and ice. On the shelf, he placed rugs made from skin of caribou, muskox, and polar bear. Ooh, I love muskox. Muskox are like these giant. They're like goats. They're not actually cows. They look like cows, but they're actually giant goats. Oh, there's pictures of muskox. No, we don't have muskox. They're just caribou. They're like giant sheep. They're very interesting animals. They're like and they're very aggressive. To hunt them, you kind of have to like it's kind of like a team strat where you have to kind of like go around in a circle, kind of wear it down. It's kind of brutal how they hunt muskox, but it's they're very interesting animals. They look like giant goats. I'm not very informative. That's not very informative. And polar bear. In the daytime, the shelf was used as a seat. At night, it became a bed. But oh yeah, because if you sleep on the ground, like all the cold penetrates into you and you die. You gotta have like a little air buffer or you die. It's always good to keep your body away from the ground when you're in a survival situation. Especially if it's like -40. You're done, bud. If it's -40, you gotta keep off the ground when you're sleeping though. At night, besides the entrance into the igloo was a lamp, which was also served as a stove. The lamp was hollowed out stone, partially filled with whale blubber, in which a moss wick had been placed. Sometimes it became so hot inside the igloo that the Eskimos were forced to strip to their waist. Yeah, because it's such a good, like, ice and snow are excellent insulators, and they also reflect heat and stuff. So they'll reflect the heat back into the igloo, from your fire. So you can basically have like a super warm, awesome. Like it's just a good time to be an igloo. It's awesome. If you make it right. If you make it wrong, it's not good. It's really cold. The Inuit, depending on the animal and fish, depended on the animals and fish of the Arctic, not only for food, but for clothing, fuel, tools, dogs, harnesses, and weapons as well. A sea animal, the seal, provide food, oil, and fur. Yeah, so most of their oil is actually from seals. They really like seal blubber. They say it burns the best, and it also is good for sustenance. But if you eat too much, you'll get diarrhea. So don't eat too much seal blubber. And also, the candles are they make the candles out of seal blubber too. They're good little things. From the walrus, another animal which lived in the water, the Eskimos obtained meat. Walrus tusks, which are of ivory, were carved into needles and points for the Eskimos' weapons. The dogs lived on white whale meat, and the whale blubber was used as oil in lamps. Much of the Eskimos' food and clothing was obtained from the caribou, a member of the deer family. Muskoxen, polar bears, Arctic foxes, Arctic hares, and many kinds of birds were also found in the north. We got all sorts of stuff hanging out in the north there. It's quite an interesting place. Let's see if I have here's a picture of some of the animals there. We got there's a polar bear up top there. There's a walrus. There's a seal, and there's caribou. I wish there was a picture of the muskox though. They're funky looking guys. I'll give them a little pet. Even though they're very aggressive. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I think some people farm them for their furs. I know their fur, like their belly furs. It's like some of the warmest furs you can get. They're like under 5 microns, so very soft. You can make nice you can make nice batting like felting with their fur. It's very nice place. Okay, so now we're gonna learn about Captain Martin Frobisher. That's a guy I've never heard before. I think he's our first explorer in the our little adventure here. One warm spring morning in the year 1576, Queen Elizabeth I, from her palace on the banks of the river Thames, waved farewell to Captain Martin Frobisher. He was setting out on a voyage of discovery to find a passage by sea to the north of America from the Atlantic to the Pacific. He had 3 ships, the Gabriel and the Michael, vessels of 30 tons, and a small boat of 10 tons. The crew numbered only 35, but all were experienced seamen. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty brutal voyage, so it's good to have good guys on your team there. The little vessels battled their way against North Atlantic storms till they reached the fog-bound shores of Greenland. They found the coast so packed with ice that they were unable to get close to the shore. During a storm, the small ship was lost with all hands and the commander of the Michael, frightened by the fierce gales, deserted and returned with his ship to the England. Oh man, that was quick. That's a quick return back home. In the Gabriel, Frobisher sailed westward till he sighted a new land. Here again, ice prevented him from going ashore. One morning, a huge iceberg, which suddenly loomed up through the fog, fell apart close to the ship and made such a noise that the sailors declared it sounded as if a great cliff had broken away from the land and had crashed into the sea. Yeah, it's like thunder when those things break apart. It's really cool to see. Kind of scary if you're close by, but really cool. And you could see like the iceberg, and they bob up and they shoot back up. It's really interesting because ice is buoyant because of the atom structure. It goes from a amorphous to a solid structure, and because it's technically has more space in between it than water, it's able to float on water, even though it is water. Very interesting science fact. Fun fact. When an opening in the coast appeared, Frobisher sailed When an opening in the coast appeared, Frobisher sailed into it, hoping that it would be the channel which he was seeking. As he made his way westward, he felt sure that the land on his right was the continent of Asia, while the land on his left was America. Oop. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think you're sorely mistaken, Frobisher. I think you're sorely mistaken. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere close there. Oh, we have Frobisher? Yeah, Frobisher's the dotted line there. Yeah, he's not making it close there. Here he found people whom he believed to be Tartars of northern Asia. I think the Tartars were the Mongolians. I think they're Mongolians. He described them as people with black hair. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Like natives. He was just describing Native American. Inuits. He's describing the Inuits of northern Canada and Alaska and Greenland. Wore clothes made of fur. So we know now that he was mistaken for these people were not Tartars but the Inuit of the Arctic. Soon trading started, and the English gave the Inuit mirrors, bells, and toys in exchange for sealskins and bearskins. Parties of men were sent out to find what kind of wealth this country contained. They returned with rocks which they believed were rich in gold. One party of 5 which went exploring was never heard of again. I wonder what happened to them. The short Arctic summer was nearly over, and ice was forming around the ship. Frobisher feared that his vessel might be crushed in the ice, and made up his mind to return home. The sailors gathered grasses and some delicate little flowers, which they found growing there to take back to England. Frobisher wished to take an Eskimo home to show to oh frick, you can't just take people, but he captured one by dangling a gaily colored bell before the native's eyes and seizing him while he was off. That's horrible. What a piece of shit. In his fright, the Inuit shut his mouth so quickly that he bit off the end of his tongue. Whoa. The waterway which Frobisher found was not a channel but a bay. If you look at the map on page 259, yeah, we're looking. You'll see this inlet. Frobisher Bay, as is now called, is the southeastern part of Baffin Island. You see Baffin Island? Yeah. So Baffin Island is, it's like this little part right over here. Where's Baffin Island? Yeah, this guy. There's like tons and tons and tons of islands. In northern Canada, in Nunavut, there's tons and tons of islands, like thousands of islands. It's a very interesting place. We're actually allowed to live there because it's like a frontier area. So only if like you're like only if like you're military or if you're a native are you allowed to live there. Where was I? Maybe you will see the inlet. Frobisher Bay is now called. It is the southeastern part of Baffin Island. Frobisher sailed home to England to receive a warm welcome from Queen Elizabeth, who praised him for his discoveries. Unfortunately, the Inuit whom he brought back lived only a short time. A few days after reaching England, he caught a cold and died. Well, maybe you shouldn't just like kidnap people, Frobisher. Maybe you should respect cultures and shit and not kidnap people. Maybe that's a good idea. When goldsmiths examined the pieces of rock that the Englishmen brought back, they stated that they contained gold. Because of this discovery, what the hell? Because of this discovery, men eager to get rich begged to sail with Frobisher on a second voyage. Next spring, 3 ships sailed from England. And followed the same course as the one on the first voyage. When they reached Frobisher Bay, the men immediately set to work to search for the precious rock. Frobisher had been ordered to be friendly with the natives and to observe their ways of living. He found that they spent most of their time hunting and fishing. Oh, there's a picture of them canoeing. See their little, yeah. Okay, so this is just a little thing. You know, this is their little kayaks, their tents, their teepees, and their igloos. Frobisher had been ordered to be friendly with the natives and to observe their ways of living. He found that they spent most of their time hunting and fishing. In summer, they lived in tents of sealskin, but in winter, he was told that their homes were round snow houses. He marveled at the ease and skill which the Inuits paddled their tiny canoes through the rough waters of the northern seas. Their little boats, known as kayaks, were very light in weight and were made of skin stretched tightly over the frame of wood or bone. When they paddled these kayaks on stormy seas, the Inuits wore waterproof coats of skin over their fur clothing. The Eskimos were continually traveling from one place to another in their search for food. On these journeys, all their possessions and food were carried on sleighs, which were pulled by dogs like onto wolves. Yeah, so they're talking about the Inuit dogs. They're like they don't really look that wolf-like, but they're more like there's more like stout Malamutes, I would say. They're very like thicker limbs, you know, like a thicker, not thicker, but like more like shorter down, more like compact Malamute. Today, these kinds of dogs are used by Inuits. They are called Huskies. That's actually wrong. They're not Huskies. They're Greenland dogs or they're Inuit dogs. Those are the actual breed. Little was learned of the Northwest Passage on this voyage, where the men spent most of their time digging rock. Yeah, gold's a good motivator. Yeah, let's not learn. Let's just make money. Early in August, cold weather came and the ice nearly wrecked the ships. With a cargo of over 200 tons of stone, Frobisher set out for England. After 2 days at sea, the ships were covered with a foot of snow. Violent storms followed them, most of the way across the Atlantic, but all 3 vessels returned safely. Queen Elizabeth was so pleased with Frobisher that she gave him a gold chain and promised to fit out another expedition. 15 ships set sail on a third voyage. On board, there were 40 sailors, 30 miners, and 30 soldiers. Plans were made to start a settlement on the shores of the new land, so that the search for gold might be continued. Fearful gales blew the ships far to the south of Frobisher Bay, where they were driven up a broad body of water which led westward. Without knowing it, Frobisher had entered what today is known as Hudson's Strait. During the storm, many ships were lost. The whole fleet very nearly escaped, being completely destroyed. When the weather cleared, the crippled ships made their ways to the Frobisher Bay for repairs. There, the miners set to work to dig the rock. About the end of August, freezing winds blew and blankets of snow covered the ground. Fearing the intense cold, the men who had planned to settle in this new land now begged to return home. Although Frobisher pleaded with them to remain in for the winter, they would not listen. They would not listen to him. Loading the ships with piles of rock, they all set out for England. 3 voyages had been made, and no passage to the northwest had been found. More interest had been shown in the search for gold than in this exploration. Yeah, Reed usually rules all when it comes to when it comes to exploration. You see gold, like, oh, I gotta get this gold. You don't focus on the true treasures, which is new lands and new friends. Unfortunately, all the tons of rocks which the men brought back contained very little gold. Much of it proved to be valueless. Yep. Discouraged at the results of his 3 voyages, Frobisher gave up the search for the Northwest Passage. Poor Frobisher. Hopefully he decides to get back on the horse, because we all well, actually no, he doesn't. But somebody takes up the mantle, because exploration is beautiful, and the northern Canada is also beautiful. It's a shame he didn't continue further. But now we're going to learn about John Davis. John Davis, and he probably took over for Frobisher. Yeah, 7 years after Frobisher, we got John Davis now. Let's see if we can see the map there. Yeah, Davis is the solid line. Let's see what Davis gets up to. 7 years after Frobisher returned from his last voyage into the Arctic, John Davis was chosen by British merchants to command another expedition in search for the Northwest Passage. His 2 small vessels, the Sunshine and the Moonshine. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the sun. I don't remember the song. I don't remember a lot of songs. Set out on their dangerous voyage with a strange assortment of men as their crews. I wonder what these men were. There were 17 seamen, 4 musicians, and one boy. Oh, what a weird combination. That's interesting. With few delays, the ships reached the snow-covered mountains of Greenland. Because it seemed so cold and gloomy in these silent wastes, Davis named it the Land of Desolation. Is that on the map? I do not see it. I do not see the Land of Desolation on the map. Rounding its southern tip, which he named Cape Farewell. Oh, there's Cape Farewell. Okay, so he's talking about Greenland, which is pretty desolate. Okay. So he's not wrong, but he's also not entirely right. There's lots of gold in Greenland. There's lots of good minerals. You should mine there. Rounding the southern tip, which he named Cape Farewell, Davis sailed along the western coast. At an Inuit village, the natives were shy at first, but when they heard music coming from the English ships, they swarmed out in their kayaks and crowded on board, anxious to hear more of these weird sounds. Davis described the Eskimos as men, for the Inuit, as men of good stature, unbearded and small-eyed. That's not very nice. In summer, they wore one set of clothes made of sealskin, but Davis learned that in the winter, they wore two sets, one with the fur outside and one with the fur inside. The seamen traded English knives and nails for sealskins. Yeah, sealskins are crazy warm. It's too bad they've been hunted like crazy and they're dying and there's going to be no more seals in maybe 50 years. But they're very warm, and they have like this waterproof pelt. So like even if like you get a little bit of water on you when like you're fishing, it just beats right off. They're really good. They're really good for the Arctic, I guess, because that's where they're being used. The Eskimos told Davis also otter skins, but that's also they're also dying like crazy. The Inuits told Davis of a vast sea to the northwest, and he sailed his ship in that direction, hoping to find the passage to China. In a few days, he crossed the wide channel, which was later named Davis Strait, and reached an unknown shore. John Davis had crossed the Arctic Circle and was farther to the north than any other white man had ever been. In this new land, he and his men found 4 huge white polar bears and a raven, but no sign of human life. Some little flowers were found in sheltered place in the rocks, but no other plants of any kind. Yeah, that's the Arctic Circle, bud. Davis had reached the very same island as that on which Frobisher had landed, and which was, at a later date, named Baffin Island. However, Davis landed on Baffin Island was far. However, Davis's landing on Baffin's Island was far to the north of Frobisher Bay. By this time, food was getting scarce. The men began to grumble, so Davis decided to return to England with encouraging news that a northwest passage is a matter nothing doubtful. He's in for a rude awakening, Davis. The British merchants were well pleased with Davis. They decided to send him back to Arctic waters next summer. Let's see if he finds that passage. In 1586, Davis again sailed across the Atlantic in a northwesterly direction. On this voyage, he was in a command of 4 ships, 2 of which were the Sunshine and the Moonshine. When he reached the western shores of Greenland and landed at the Inuit village, which he had visited the years before, the natives were delighted to see the Englishmen. Many happy hours were spent on the beach, where the English seamen taught the Inuits how to play football. Oh, that's nice. I love football. Which is soccer, I guess, in America. But I like. It's always fun to play football. I used to play all the time when I was a little boy, kicking the little rocks and stuff. We would. I'm not very good at dribbling. So what would happen is I'd run up there, and then I'd kind of screw up, and then someone else would take the ball, and we usually get goals that way. It's a sneaky tactic. You turn your weaknesses into your strengths. Davis said farewell to his Inuit friends and sailed northward along the coast. Here he made a map of all the bays and inlets which he found. He made many landings at Inuit settlements, and often traveled miles inland exploring the country. The scattered Inuit villages were found close to the coast, where there was a narrow strip of land. Farther inland was a great ice cap. Davis noted noted in his records that this huge mass of ice, or glacier, never seemed to melt and was of great depth. Along the western coast of Greenland, he found many such glaciers. Here and there, masses of this solid ice flowed slowly down to the sea. When huge chunks of ice broke off and plunged into the waters, an iceberg was born. Congratulations. Was it a boy or a girl? During bad weather, that wasn't funny. That's horrible. During bad weather, can't believe I even thought that. During the bad weather, these icebergs could not be seen floating in the water, and the sailors had to be always on the alert. Yeah, Titanic. That's actually where the Titanic actually was known in Newfoundland. So like right over here, this is where the Titanic actually got hit by an iceberg coming off from Baffin's Bay. So it would like break off here near Greenland. It would travel down, woo, 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 and usually go around here, around the coast of Canada. It's a very treacherous place, the Arctic. So you have to be careful when you're sailing down. Always be sure to get an experienced guide when you're sailing the Arctic. Even like in modern ships, like in cruise ships or like metal ships, it's still extremely dangerous because again, like you just can't see these icebergs sometimes in bad weather. Crossing over Davis Strait to Baffin Island, Davis's fleet searched along the coast for the Northwest Passage. During the few weeks when the weather was warm, swarms of mosquitoes attacked the sailors, causing itching and making lumps on the rise on their skins. Later, fields of ice coming down from the north forced the ships to sail southward along the coast of Baffin Island. Tall, glistening icebergs floated majestically by the ships. These were of such a size that Davis afterwards refused to talk very much about them, for he said no one would believe him if he did. Yeah, they're freaking huge. Like, actually, they can stretch on for miles. Like, you could walk on an iceberg, which is it's not safe because you could just die. They can just split apart and you could fall into the water and die. And when they split apart, like they kind of suck you down in there with the water, because like they create like a void. And so like you get, not only like even if you could swim really good, they'll just get sucked down and crushed by the pressure of the iceberg. It's very scary to be in the waters there. So when they say it's no joke, it's really no joke to sail in these waters. Without knowing it, Davis sailed past a great channel of water known as the Hudson Strait, and soon he reached the coast of Labrador. Well, where's the Hudson Strait? Yeah. So here's the Hudson Strait right here. It goes into Hudson's Bay, which is from the Hudson's Bay Company. So we go from here's a lot of where the fur trade started in Canada. Very lots that's where most of the economy came from was the fur trade from Hudson's Bay. Without knowing it, Davis had sailed past a great channel of water known as the Hudson Strait, and soon he reached the coast of Labrador. Before returning home, he and his men obtained 500 sealskins and huge cargoes of codfish. Cod. Oh, it's salted. I love salted cod. The following year, Davis set out across the Atlantic Ocean for a third voyage. This time, he left 2 of his 3 ships to fish off the Labrador coast, while with the third he headed northward until he reached Davis's Strait. Greenland, with its great mountains of ice and mighty glaciers, lay on his right hand, and in front of him stretched a bright blue sea, free from fields of ice. Now and again, towering icebergs, which is with its snowy peaks, pointed to the sky, flowing past his ship. Day after day, he sailed till he reached the far northern waters, which were later named Baffin Bay. His hopes soared. He felt that he had at least found the channel that would lead him to the Pacific. By next morning, however, a gale from the north had carried before it a mighty bank of ice, 8 feet in depth. It stretched across the strait, and although Davis tried many times to push through it, he found it was impossible to make any progress. With a sad heart, he turned his ship homeward. The merchants who had paid for Davis's voyage were no longer pleased with him. They said, "This man has made 3 trips. Why hasn't he found the passage? Found the passage he talks about so much?" Poor Davis. With the exclamation mark. Poor Davis! Poor Davis! It was more like that. Although he begged for ships and money for another trip, his words fell on deaf ears. He was forced to give up his dream of reaching China. He had, however, learned many things about the North. He had sailed for over 700 miles up the west coast of Greenland. He had explored the whole coast of Labrador, and he stated his belief that all the northern part of America was a mass of islands. In this, he was later found to be correct. Yeah, I think it has the most islands in the world. I think it is, or second most. On the map, it's like they look like a bunch of solid lands, but no, they're like thousands and thousands of islands. Now it's Henry Hudson. So this is the start of the fur trade. Hudson's Bay Company, which actually recently just got bankrupt, and like they just broke it apart. It doesn't exist anymore. Like a piece of Canadian history is not gone forever, which I don't really care about because I've never really liked Hudson's Bay. They're kind of bad. They're kind of cruel and bad. They're not good. They're not good people. The Hudson's Bay Company, which I don't know if they're gonna show in the book because this book's really old. But yeah, they did a lot of bad things. When Henry Hudson sailed on his last voyage, he had already made 3 other voyages in search of the Northwest Passage. From the first two voyages into the eastern Arctic, he had returned disappointed. Fields of ice and fierce storms had driven him back. On his 3rd attempt, he changed his course and reached the eastern shores of America. Searching along this coast, he discovered a wide channel into which he sailed, hoping it might be the passage to the Pacific. However, after many days, he found that this waterway grew narrower and shallower. Slowly, he realized that this was not a saltwater passage to the Pacific, but a freshwater river. Without knowing it, Henry Hudson had made a very important discovery. This great river, known as the Hudson, is the eastern gateway to the United States of America. At its mouth in the island of Manhattan, on which stands one of the world's largest cities, New York. Hudson's 4th and last voyage was made on the Discovery, a ship that had already proved herself in the Arctic exploration. Under the command of George Weymouth, the Discovery had sailed into rough and dangerous new strait between the Labrador and Baffin Island. On Hudson's 4th voyage, he hoped to reach this channel and find out if it was the Northwest Passage to the Pacific. On board his ship, Hudson had a crew of 20 men. His mate, Robert Jute, his secretary, Henry Green, Abacuk Pritchett? I don't know how to pronounce that. A man representing the merchants who owned the vessel. Robert Boylott. Oh, geez, I'm messing up all these names. Hudson's son Jack, and 15 others. Many of these men had no idea of Hudson's plans to sail north. They believed that he was planning to explore the coast of America near the Hudson's River. In April 1610, the sturdy little Discovery left England and plowed northwestward through the mountains waves of the Atlantic. When the crew realized the region to which they were going, many of them murmured against their leader. They were afraid of being trapped for many months in the frozen seas of the Arctic and perhaps never returning home again. When the ships reached Iceland, Mount Hekla was in eruption. A seeming gaze on the strange sight. From the volcano's crater came great billows of smoke and red-hot lava pouring down the mountainside. When they landed, many of the seamen enjoyed warm baths in the hot springs, bubbling up from the great cracks in the rocks. They watched the people of Iceland cooking food in the pools of hot water. They also have this thing where they put the kind of bury their bread in there. I think it's called like brown or black bread. It's a very traditional way to make bread in Greenland or Iceland. I can't remember. Did they say Greenland or Iceland? In Iceland, yeah. So they would bury it deep in the mountain and near their hot springs, and it would slowly cook overnight. They would unbury it and then have like a nice bread in a pot. You could I don't think it tastes that good, but you know if you want to try it, you could try it you light a fire in your backyard and bury it and see if that works. I think it would work actually. I think they do that too, or there's like a pit called pit cooking or something. By the month of July, Discovery had passed Cape Farewell at the southern tip of Greenland. In a short time, the channel which Captain Weymouth had spoken of was reached. This strait, which now bears Hudson's name, is very dangerous for ships. As they battled against huge waves, driving winds, and floating fields of ice, many of the men became frightened and pleaded with their leader to turn back before it was too late. Hudson quieted the frightened men by picturing the riches in store for them if they continued on their way to the Pacific and China. One morning, Hudson gazed out from the ship's bow on a sight which brought tears of joy to his eyes. Before him lay a wide blue sea, which he felt for certain was the Pacific. Now, he thought, his dreams of many, many years were soon to be realized. For 12 weeks, Hudson and his men searched among the many islands and along the shores of this vast sea. Winter was coming on. Cold winds blew down from the north. The days grew shorter, and ice made its appearance on the water. The crew who had been hopeful at first, when they reached the sea, now began to grow discontented again. They asked him where the rich lands of the east were, for all they could see were dark hills and gray rocks. When Hudson reached the southern tip of the inland sea, he realized that it was not the Pacific, but a huge bay on America's northern coast. Winter was closing in, and there was a danger of the ship being crushed in the ice. Hudson had his men move to the shore, where they built a rough wooden hut to shelter them in the cold months that lay ahead. At first, food was fairly plentiful. the men were able to hunt. Ptarmigan. Ptarmigan's like it's called the chicken of the north. It's this giant prey bird that kind of it's able to fly. So it's a red meat. It's not like chicken where it's white. And they're pretty big actually, considering for a type of bird they are. And they taste really good. If you get a chance to try ptarmigan, like if you're up north and someone's like, "Hey, I just hunted this ptarmigan. You want some?" Definitely try it because it tastes really good. I'll go for that. They're also very beautiful. Like they're a beautiful bird. Where was I? The men were able to hunt ptarmigan, which are a kind of grouse. Yeah, grouse. Well, chicken's a grouse, but and other birds. But as the long months dragged on, they began to suffer from hunger. The zero weather caused many severe cases of frostbite, and some of the crew lost fingers and toes. The men were at last forced to boil moss and eat the weak watery soup. During all this time, the only living creature they saw was a native who came to their winter quarters, bringing with him skins of deer and beaver. Although the starving men believed that he would come back with help, the native was never seen again. Aw, that's sad. When spring came, at last, I hope they make it out. Well, I hope all of them make it out. It sounds pretty brutal. The crew insisted on returning home to England. So they're gonna make it. Hudson tried to urge them to strike for the west again. What, dude, you almost died. Like you're missing fingers and toes. No one to call it quits. And come back more prepared. You can always come back. Hudson tried to urge them to strike for the west again. In a few days, he said, we will be in the Pacific. Wild with rage and their leader's stubbornness in wishing to go on instead of returning home, they planned open mutiny. Okay. The ringleaders in the mutiny were Henry Green and Robert Jute, two men in whom Hudson had put his trust. Well, dude, like go back home. Like this is not good. Like come back prepared, bring good clothing, and don't do this again. And redo your strat. It was the middle of July before the ship was free from the ice, and the men could leave their winter quarters. Jute and Green forced Hudson to promise to sail back. Okay, no, that's not yet. Let's go back. Oh, hey, Rainy, how's it going? You have a good day? We're learning about the Hudson. Right now we're learning about this guy Henry Hudson, who's kind of I think he founded the Hudson Bay Company. He's an explorer. He's trying to find a passage to China from North America, but spoiler, that doesn't exist, so they're not going to find it. Having a good day today. I'm gonna have you as my podcast while I pay my bills. Have a good day. I'm glad I could give you the entertainment that you need for your bill paying there. I hope I stay entertaining. Yeah, I'm having a good day. Was able to get some stuff done, so I'm happy. I'm good. And yeah, I hope you have a good time paying your bills. I hope you have lots of money left over too. And where was I? It was the middle of July before the ship was free from the ice, and the men could leave their winter quarters. Jute and Green forced Hudson to promise to sail back. Back to England. With a heavy heart, Hudson agreed to their wishes. When the mutineers took stock of their food, they found that they had only enough to last them for 2 weeks. Oh, geez, they're not going to get back to England in 2 weeks. Then they thought up a cruel plan. 12 days after leaving land, the rebels overpowered Hudson and bound his arms behind his back. They hustled the helpless man and his son Jack into a small boat, in which they also placed the sick men who had been suffering from scurvy. The ship's carpenter and another man rushed to help Hudson. They too were seized and thrown into the little boat. Barely any. Oh, here's the boat. Jeez, holy crap! This guy sucks. Oh, this poor guy. Much to help. They too were seized and thrown into the little boat with barely any provisions, some powder, some shot, and a gun and an iron pot of meal. Iron pot of meal. What does that mean? The helpless men, 9 in all, were set adrift and left to the mercy of the winds and the waves. To this day, no man knows what happened to Hudson, his son, and other. Oh, so who found Hudson's Bay Company? I guess Hudson just freaking died. I guess he just found the place. Poor Hudson. He just wanted to explore. Oh, geez. Well, he was kind of stupid. He was trying to force his men, after losing their fingers and toes to frostbite, to continue on to a journey with only 2 weeks of food. Not the smartest guy. His thirst for exploration was too great. He should have regrouped back in England. As the crew watched the little boat drift away, they said, there will be more food for the rest of us now that those sick and worthless fellows have gone. Cruel. Just cruel. As for that dreamer, Hudson, he was only taking us to certain death. On the return voyage, several of the mutineers landed on the shores of the Hudson Strait, searching for food, and were attacked and killed by Inuit. That sucks. One of these who perished was Henry Green, a ringleader in the mutiny. When the Discovery's crew attempted to cross the Atlantic Ocean, they found that no one on board knew much about navigation. Now, too late, they felt the need of their former captain. Starvation faced them, and soon they were forced to eat candle wax and bits of leather. Before the terrible voyage was over, another of the rebel leaders, Robert Jute, died of hunger. One day, off the west coast of Ireland, a fisherman saw a ship with sailors torn to ribbons, being buffeted about by the winds and the waves. Buffet? I don't know. Heard that word before. Buffet. Buffeted. I'm guessing like pushed around. Buffeted about by the winds and the waves. When he rowed out and boarded the vessel, he found 3 helpless, starving men lying in their cabins. Food was given to the men. A pilot and a crew were provided, and the Discovery sailed home to England. Oh, gee, that's kind of rough. It's rough to sail. Sailing's rough, especially when you're exploring. And that's, munis, even if like you think like, oh, we'll have more food, let's throw all these guys overboard. You do more good together, right? A bigger group's always able to perform better, and it's important. But again, it's important to have morale. Morale boost is having morale is one of the most important things. Food and morale, I think, are the most important things for exploring. Food because you'll die without food, and morale because really that kind of keeps you going. I think they did a study about mice. This guy did a study about mice where they would this is back in the 1950s. Like this book. This book's from the 1950s too. It's pretty out of date. But they would put mice in tubes of water, and they have them like no way to get out of these, no way to get out of the water. Like they were stuck in this like little bath of water. And after 50 minutes, they would just give up and start drowning. And of course, they would pull out then the researcher would pull out the mouse, dry him off, give him food and stuff, and then what he would do is a few hours later he put him back in the water, and then instead of lasting for 15 minutes before they drowned, the mice treaded water for 60 hours, for days. The mouse treaded water. So really, it was all mental, right? Like he didn't have to give up after 15 minutes. Like he could have kept going for thousands of times that amount of time, right? It's all about perspective when you're in a tough situation. It's all about perseverance. Well, not just perseverance, but smart thinking, healthy thinking when you're in tough times. If you have hope, if you have a little bit of hope, you could keep treading for another, say 50 minutes. You could tread for 60 hours. Reply Discovery sailed home to England. When the men were tried in court, they were not hanged for their crimes. Perhaps it was thought that on the journey home, they had already suffered enough and have been punished for their wrongdoings. Fortunately, Abacuc Prickett, very very good name. I'd like to be named Abacuc. Oh, is it like Arctic? Nah, I have no idea where the origin of this name Abacuc. Let's search that up. Let's search up where the name Abacuc comes from. I'm interested. Abacuc name. A misspelling of Habakkuk, or the Latin form Abacuc. A biblical prophet. Okay, that makes sense. They're all Christian. And it's not the word for Habakkuk. Originally, Habakkuk in Latin. Okay, I gotcha. So he's named so that makes sense. Christian prophet Habakkuk. Horrible misspelling though. It's like H-A-B-K or whatever. That's why it makes no sense because I've never seen this name before. Back to it. Fortunately, Abacuc had kept a very... Oh, thanks for stopping by, Rini. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good time. It's whatever you're getting done. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck on your adventure for the rest of the day. Fortunately, Abacook Prickett had kept a very careful record of the voyage. Even the story about how Hudson was cast adrift in the Hudson Bay. This record, Hudson's charts, and the ship's logbook were all carefully studied. Rescue ships were sent out to search for the explorer, but without success. The Silent North still holds the secret of Hudson's fate. However, his name lives. Hudson's River, Hudson's Strait, and Hudson's Bay all remind us of the brave explorer and search for the Northwest Passage. He was brave, but he was kind of dumb. Which, you know, I guess you gotta be a little dumb to be brave too. That's not necessarily true, but it helps. It helps to be dumb when you're trying to do something. It's good to not always good to be fearless, but to have lower fear. I don't know what I'm saying really, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, next is William Baffin. He's our next explorer. One of the three. Oh, I should drink. I'm gonna give myself a little drink. Hello, Niron. Nironé. Comment ça va? Comment ça va, mon frère? We're learning about. I'm reading about the Northwest Passage. Like they're these explorers from England and like in Spain and Portugal. They're trying to find a route to China over North America, but they're not gonna find it. It doesn't exist. Hey Lua. Hey guys. My frère. My frère. You're I'm reading about the North. Oh, okay, one second. I need to focus and I need to lock in. The stream's a bit laggy for me. Oh, is there a way to fix that? Can I like reduce the quality? I'll try to keep it down. I am really good right now. I'm like I took like the past 2 days to like, you know, lock in and get my life stuff down, and now I feel amazing. Like I'm back to my normal old self. So I feel really good again. I feel amazing. And so I was like, hey, you know, I feel good. I want to read you know, the exploration book again because I love explorers. I love learning about all their adventures and stuff. So I'm gonna that's my plan. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's not much to look at, so don't worry. Just my beautiful face, with my beautiful leaf ears, and the beautiful pictures. Oh, so the images are also from like, so the book's from like the 1950s. Quite. I don't know what these. I don't use. I'm not that far into Duolingo. Quit. I'm gonna search it up. Control C. Google translate. Yeah, Deep Bell was like, fuck you. I'm not translating anymore. Fuck yourself. Quit. He asked me who I was and I made a pun. You can't translate it. Okay. Okay, gotcha. That's fine. We keep going. I'll learn about it later. I'll figure it out later. I'll do my due diligence. So we're gonna learn about William Baffin. Where's my pictures? Oh, so this picture, this guy, his name was Hudson. He's after the Hudson's Bay and stuff. I think there's a picture. No, that's not the map. Here's the map. So this is northern Canada, and in here in this little area here, it's the Hudson's Bay. So this is where this is where most of the fur trade happens. Oh, and right here, right next to James Bay, this is where my dog's from. My good old dog. He's from James Bay over there, or not near James Bay. He's from an Inuit village, which Inuits are Eskimos, but we don't call them Eskimos anymore because it's a derogatory term. So we call them Inuit now. So he's 1/4 Inuit dog. So he comes from this little area here. And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, we're learning about the exploration guys. So like the explorers and their fun times trying to find the sea route to China, which doesn't exist. They're not going to find it. They're going to have a tough time. They're going to lose toes from frostbite because the Arctic is crazy, and the waters are cruel. But yeah, they're gonna try their best. And next is William Baffin. One of the three men who returned on Henry Hudson's ship to the Discovery was Robert Baylot. Baylot. How do you pronounce this? Baylot. What is that? How do you pronounce Baylot? Baylot? I'm just gonna do Baylot. We're gonna go Baylot. He decided to return to the Arctic, for he believed that he would find the Northwest Passage to China by traveling westward through the Hudson Strait. In April 1615, he set out to try to sail through the strait. His mate and recorder on the voyage was William Baffin, an experienced seaman, and who had already made 4 trips into the northern seas. Before the vessel Discovery set out, her captain was instructed to proceed from England to Greenland and from there into the Hudson Strait. In early May, the ship reached the bleak, cheerless shores of Greenland. Oh, that's cruel. People love Greenland. I don't know why you're just calling it bleak. Well, it's more desolate than bleak. It's very nice. It's very nice. Like you could do dog sledding in Greenland. There's a whole there's dogs called Greenland dogs, which again are basically the same as Inuit dogs, and they're really good for dog sledding. Like they're really chill. They'll basically they'll keep going for miles and miles and miles or kilometers. And most people they still use dog sleds because Greenland's like a frontier land still. There's only really military bases in native Greenland, people native to Greenland. And it's what does that mean? What does that mean? What are you smirking about? Did I say something funny? Nah, never mind. I don't think keep doing. I'm not gonna. You're trying to troll me again. You're just trying to troll me. Okay. A voyage with William Baffin. Okay. Greenland. And sailing on the west, it arrived in Hudson Strait and entered it, keeping close to the northern shores of waterway. The land to the north of the strait was icebound and rocky. It was a huge island, twice the size of the British Islands, and it was on this island that Frobisher and Davis had landed. So Frobisher was like the first guy to be like, I want to go find the route to China. The first English guy, and he fucked up. He couldn't find it. He just landed here, he landed right here, like in Baffin Island, which is just a huge freaking island. Because most of the northern Canada is just a bunch of tiny little islands, thousands and thousands of islands, which you could sail to, and it's usually covered in ice. But the ice is melting because of global warming and whatnot. But there's usually lots and lots of ice covering this stuff. So it looks like one giant landmass, but really it's a bunch of tiny little islands. I think it has the most islands in the world. I'm probably gonna be wrong. It was like the second or third most islands at the least. So it's yeah. So he didn't make much progress, but he met some Inuit people, and he was like, oh, these guys are cool. He captured one and tried to take one back to England as like a little show thing, because that's what they did back then, because they were sick and cruel and horrible people. But yeah. But he died on the way because again, sailing was really horrible back in the day. You would get scurvy, you would get killed by icebergs. You basically if you land in the water there, you're dead from like frost, from like the cold. Like you'll just die in the cold. And if you land near an iceberg, you'll get sucked down and crushed under the weight of the iceberg. It's not a fun place to sail. Now what was I talking about? Baffin. Frobisher and Davis had landed. Today, it is called Baffin Island in honor of William Baffin. You'll see Baffin Island on the map on page 215. Yeah, I'm showing right there. The Discovery dropped an anchor and landing was made in the dreary, desolate land. Numbers of Inuits, I'm also switching Eskimos to Inuits because it's the proper term, greeted the white men. Baffin reported in his logbook that the Inuits, like those in Greenland, used great husky dogs to pull the sleds. The Inuits gave the newcomers large quantities of caribou and seal meat for food. From Baffin Island, the British seamen continued on their way westward. Great masses of ice continually held their ship back and made progress very difficult. When an ice barrier completely closed up the water passage, Captain Baylot headed his ship to shore. They named the place at which they landed Cape Comfort. If you look at the map on page 259, yeah, I'm looking. Look at the map, you'll see that this cape is on the northeastern coast of what is now called Southampton Island. Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? Oh, there you are, right there. So it's in the Hudson's Bay there. It's probably a really great place to hunt for like seal pelts and stuff. You'll see that this is now called South Hampton Island on the northern end of Hudson Bay. The leaders of the expedition discussed whether they should attempt to continue westward or return home. They believed that there was no passage to the Western Sea by way of the Hudson Strait, and they decided that it would be a waste of time to continue farther in their direction. Returning home, they reported that they had been unable to find the Northwest Passage by way of the Hudson Strait. They were also able to record that there had been no serious illness nor loss of life during the entire voyage. 1 year later, the Discovery again set sail with Baylett as Captain. Oh, I need a drink. My mouth's getting dry. Oh yeah, how was your guys' day? Niron and Lua. How did you guys? How was your day going for you? I forgot to ask. I was too scatterbrained for the book there. Okay, where was I? Western Hudson Street inside that. Returning home. Discovery set sail with Baylett as captain and Baffin as first mate. Plans were made to sail first to Greenland and then to follow the route taken by John Davis up the western coast of this island. The captain promised to bring back a Japanese native. What? There's no because he thinks he's going to China. A Japanese native. He was fortunate enough to make it his way through the polar seas. Not much to say. Oh, but I saw your picture of the. Yeah, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job on those comms. I'm like, oh geez, that's sick. And every time you show the pictures, I'm like, whoa, that's epic. In my brain, I would never dare say that out loud. I'd never say that. I would never do that. But yeah, it's looking good. I'm excited to see what it looks like when you're done there with the commission. He was fortunate enough to make his way through the polar seas to the Pacific. After crossing the stormy North Atlantic and reaching Greenland, the sturdy vessel made its way up Davis Strait, reaching and passing the farthest point which Davis had reached. Although it was the month of June, the weather was so cold that the sails and ropes were frozen stiff, and the crew had the greatest difficulty in handling them. The ships sailed on the north, pulling to every bay and channel in the search for the northern-western passage. In one great bay, dozens of whales were sighted, sporting in the water. Baffin named it Whale Sound. Vast fields of ice from the north forced Discovery to change its course and turn back, but not before the ship had reached the most northerly tip of a new body of water, now known as Baffin's Bay. No white man had ever before sailed into these far northern islands. Oh, you just finished it? Oh, I'm gonna take a freaking look. Fuck the book. I want to check that out. Let's see. Let's look at where the fuck did they put the Discord? Here it is. Here's yo. Oh, you didn't post it yet. Okay, I'll go back to reading. I'm gonna do a big leer. I'm gonna leer a bunch once you show us, because I liked it. I'm interested in seeing. Congratulations, by the way, for the completion. Let's do the victory banjo. Victory banjo. Okay. Yeah. Victory. Send a DM? Okay, let's take a look. Oh hell yeah. How do I show this on the stream? I want to show the Discord. I just want to show the picture. I can download it. I'll download it. Yeah, I haven't really been playing. Like, I haven't really played properly for the past 5 years. So I want to, now that I kind of have time for it, so I'm going to try relearning the songs and getting back into it so I could play very nicely. Okay, let's open this. Okay, let's put it on the Let's put this on stream. Let's do the window capture there. Window capture. Discord. Where's the? Oh, I want to see this thing. I want to see the video. Let me see. Oh, jeez, I'm stupid. Buddy. Shit. Okay, let's see. Let's just add a new source. Window capture. Okay. No, it's not showing up. Why isn't it showing up? That's such bullshit. It's not fair. It's not fair. Okay, let me, what if I do media source? Okay. Where's this file located? Oop. Probably in recent. Let's see. Where's quick access? Yeah. Here we are. Open. Okay. Yeah, there we are. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. But I got the thing up there. Check that shit out. Yeah, if anybody wants a VTuber model, that he's Eurone is the guy. This guy you want to commission. He's pretty good for Vroids and stuff. Anybody who's watching. Okay. Yeah. I wonder if I could change anything on my end to make it easier. So it would be easier for your stream. Let's see. Where were we? Yeah, we were trying to find Japanese guys in Canada. We're trying to steal Japanese men from northern Canada. If anybody has a Japanese guy they want to donate, the Queen of England. Well, I guess it's the king now. The King of England, I think, would like that. Promised to bring back a Japanese native if he was fortunate enough to make his way through the polar seas to the Pacific. After crossing the stormy North Atlantic and reaching Greenland, the sturdy vessel made its way up Davis's Strait, reaching and passing. Let me actually write it in chat. Is there anything on my end that can help with the connection? Yeah, very cool. After crossing the stormy Atlantic and after crossing the stormy North Atlantic and reaching Greenland, the sturdy vessel made its way up Davis Strait, reaching and passing the farthest point which Davis had reached. Although it was the month of June, the weather was so cold that the sails and ropes were frozen stiff, and the crew had the greatest difficulty in handling them. The ships sailed on to the north, putting into every bay. Oh, okay, that's too bad. I'll take a look after the stream. I'll try to see if there's ways I can make the stream like lower bit rate or something on for the viewers end. See if I could try something on there. Ships sailed on the northern, putting into every bay and channel in the search for the Northwest Passage. In one great bay, dozens of whales were sighted, swirling the water. Baffin named the whale sound. Oh, I read this. Vast fields of ice from the north forced Discovery to change its course and turn back. But not before the ship had reached the most northern tip of a new body of water, known as Baffin Bay. No white man had ever before sailed into these far northern waters. The Discovery voyaged along the western side of the Great Bay. All the inlets along the coast were filled with ice, and the vessel was unable to proceed. The vessel was unable to proceed into any of them. Baylet and Baffin named these bays after men in England who had given money and helped in preparing for the voyage of discovery. Jones Sound and Lancaster Sound, still bearing the names of their friends. If the Discovery had been able to sail through Lancaster Sound, it would have reached the gateways to a series of channels which would have led the vessel to the west. Oh, it does exist. Oh shit, I'm dumb. But it'll only be accessible during the summer because like there's all the islands are literally covered in ice. Like you can't do that. And it doesn't make any sense to do that anymore because of the Panama straight up Panama. Let's see. Which would have led them vessels. Unfortunately, a great wall of solid ice forced the Discovery. Yeah, because there's like freaking ice walls everywhere. It's like Game of Thrones. There's like huge giant glaciers of ice floating in this ocean, and it's like, hey, if you even attempt to go in a crack here, your ship will get crushed in like a few seconds. Like don't do it. Like don't sail in northern Canada. It's just dumb. Sorry, in the Arctic Circle of northern Canada. So you can see like on the line here, like there's like a line like going across, right? Anything above this line is like desert. Is like basically like no trees, like maybe some animals like polar bears and seals, and that's about it. So they were sailing in this area trying to go over here, and it's like freezing cold, and there's glaciers coming, like glaciers breaking off of the Arctic, just like floating down and like blocking all these paths. It's brutal. It's a brutal way to live there. I don't recommend living there. Well, you can't, but like you know, if you're planning on it for some crazy reason, if you're insane, sick in the head, and you know you're doing meth constantly, you're like, oh, I want to live in the Arctic, don't do it. It's a quick tip. The lack of sunshine and the diet of salt pork caused many of the crew on the voyage to fall ill with scurvy. The gums around their teeth blackened and swelled up, and they were in great pain. When the sick men tried to walk, they found themselves quite lame. Baffin knew that there was a certain type of grass in Greenland, which was said to cure scurvy. Orders were given to return to Greenland, where quantities of this grass were gathered and fed to the sick men. I wonder what that grass is. In a short time, many of the sailors recovered. When Baffin, it did work. Okay, so it's good grass. It's not my favorite type of grass. Wink, 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 wink. But you know, it seems pretty good. Seems like good grass, you know. Yeah. When Baffin presented a report of the voyage in England, he was again forced to say that he had been unable to find the Northwest Passage. He also stated that he believed that there was no such channel to the north of the David Strait, which would lead to the Great Western Ocean. We now know that he was mistaken. Although Baffin had failed both times to find the passage, how can we sail through the strait? How can we know he does that? Oh, because you'll die. And the voyages had undertaken were not without results. He had discovered that the vast northern sea was now known as Baffin. What the fuck? He discovered the vast northern sea, now known as, there's no commas, known as Baffin Bay, and he had made friends with Inuits on the island now known as Baffin Island. Good job, Baffin. You did good. But you didn't do good enough for the Queen of England. I hope she didn't like fuck you up and like put you in jail. Because that happened to another guy. Who was it? Cabot. Yeah, he got thrown in jail for wasting funds for like sailing. That was an older story. I was back in the book. He's the guy who found Newfoundland. Was like, Newfoundland sucks. There's only rocks. And I was like really pissed off because like Newfoundland's like one of the most beautiful places on earth. Like there's moose and there's forests and like there's just beautiful nature in Newfoundland. Yeah. If you get a chance, if you go to Canada, I would recommend checking out Newfoundland because the people there are also like just freaking awesome. Like everybody's like so friendly because like they live on like in the middle of nowhere. So like everybody's like, hey, come hang out. It's a very camaraderie. Oh, during 9/11, during like the Twin Towers and stuff, all the planes, because there's like one airport in Newfoundland, all the planes like they're like bound for New York landed there in Newfoundland. So like there was like thousands and thousands of people in Newfoundland. You know, and there's like no hotels basically. There's like nothing in Newfoundland. It's got like one little town and that's it. We're all like, and so like all the whole population of Newfoundland's like, we're like, hey guys, come stay in our home. Like all these like strangers and like people from around the world, like we're like living in these Newfies homes, Newfies home. And there's a song where it's like there's no locks on the door of Newfoundland, and that's like actually legitimate. Like you could like people will just let you into your home. Like you can just walk in, say hi, and you sit down for a meal. They love it. They don't. Well, you shouldn't break and enter. But like they're always happy to like invite you in. That's one thing I really like about Canada is Newfoundland. It's a kind of like a hopeful place, very beautiful place. So now we're going to learn about John Franklin. No relation to Benjamin Franklin, just John Franklin. The Northwest Passage by land and sea. In the 200 years that followed, the voyages of Baillet and Baffin, more than 50 different expeditions set out in search of the Northwest Passage. Among these was the attempt of Captain Cook. Oh yeah, Captain Cook. He's a dumb fucker. He was a guy. He's a guy who like fucked up Hawaii. Like when he went to Hawaii, they're like oh, this guy's white skin. He must be a freaking god. And so like they were like, oh, everybody on the boat were like, oh, yes, we're gods. Yes, that's us. Worship us. And so they were like, they're trying to like, I can't remember exactly what they were doing at the Valeria, but they're trying to do like a sail around the world type deal. They're trying to do exploration and stuff. And they came back to Hawaii a second time and basically decimated the native population. They realized that these guys were not gods and were like, hey, get the fuck out of here. And they killed Captain Cook because he was a piece of shit. But yeah, that's what happens. So yeah. Among these was the tent of Captain Cook, of which you read earlier. I did. To find the Northwest Passage by starting from the Pacific. Okay. Let me lock in. Of which you read earlier. To find the Northwest Passage by starting from the Pacific. All these expeditions failed because great fields of ice blocked the way. In the course of the expeditions, however, much was learned about the eastern and western parts of the Arctic Ocean, but very little was as yet known as of the central part. In 1819, ooh, that's far. That's in the future. We've traveled far into the future. The British government, no more scurvy now, so that's good. In 1819, the British government decided to send out an exploration party to journey overland from the shores of Hudson's Bay to the northwest to try to map out the coast of the central region bordering on the Arctic Ocean. John Franklin was named to command the expedition. With a party of 5 Englishmen, Franklin set out from Britain and traveled to York Factory, one of the Hudson's Bay's company forts on the western shores of Hudson's Bay. Do we have that? No, it doesn't show up there. Okay. His plan was to travel by land and water to the mouth of the Coppermine River on the Arctic Ocean, and explore the north coast of America. When ad's starting, let me snooze that ad. Fuck that ad. Fuck this thing. Fuck that. At a York Factory, they were supplied with food, ammunition, a large portable boat, and French Canadian rowers were also to act as guides. Oh, so the French Canadians are talking about they're Métis. So they were back in the day in Montreal. There was a lot of when the French were taking over when you guys were taking over the area there, like trying to make colonies and stuff in Canada. They did a lot of oppression of native populations, but because of that, there was lots of inbreeding. Not inbreeding. There's lots of crossbreeding. What's the term? Yeah. So there was lots of interbreeding. No. Interbreeding. What? They loved each other. The natives and the French really loved each other. Is what I'm getting at. And so there's they're kind of like this population of like French, like half French, half native type guys. They still lived, still pretty prominent culture today. So like they have crazy accents though. Like the Quebec accent. Imagine that like turned up to like 12. It's actually you actually can't understand them if you speak. Like you would not be able to understand anything they're saying. It's crazy. But yeah, so like a lot of these Métis were like majority of the explorers, and like they would do fur trading and stuff, and they were like an integral part of the fur trade in Canada. I don't think they're going to mention this because it's more about sailing and exploration from 1950s, and I don't think they kind of racist book. But that's how it goes. We're racist right now. We're 1950s racists. Factory that was supplied. Okay, the American. Okay, where was I? With a party of 5 Englishmen, Franklin set out from Britain and traveled to York Factory, one of the Hudson's Bay's company's forts on the west shore of Hudson's Bay. His plan was to travel by land and water to the mouth of the Coppermine River on the Arctic Ocean to explore the northern coast of America. At York Factory, they were supplied with food, ammunition, a large portable boat, and French Canadian rowers, who were also to act as guides. Leaving the settlement, the journey to the northwest, traveling on the many lakes and rivers. Often they came to rapids and waterfalls, which forced them to carry their boats and supplies overland. Oh, there's a picture. There's a picture. Let's take a little. Let's do a little look see. Yeah. Here's them. Here's them chilling. It's forced to. Yeah. Forced them to carry their boat and supplies overland. This was known as making a portage. Yeah, portage is like carrying your canoe over your shoulders, and when you're going with your canoe. At night, the men slept in buffalo robes, and on the cold hard ground. Oh, you know what? Actually, I might end it. I'm kind of freaking tired. Let me check how much time is left. Oh, this is a big chapter. I'm actually gonna end the chapter. Yeah. Thanks guys for joining me. Had a good time reading, and I hope I was entertaining too. So yeah, if you anybody new here, there's a Discord if you want to join the Discord. There's a you can leave a follow if you enjoyed the short story. But yeah, hope everybody has a good time with the rest of their day. See you guys. Oh, and the music stopped. Shit. Okay. Where's the music? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bye bye.